You're talking about going on the pro tour full time. So Cal is one of our best players in Minnesota, and it absolutely did not happen overnight. He's put years of practice into this, but I would say being one of the top players in Minnesota is probably something in the last year or two. Would you say that's correct?
Yeah, maybe even just this year.
Just this year?
Yeah, this was my big breakout season, I guess you could say, in Minnesota.
Awesome.
With a couple tournament wins and a big A-tier win.
Nice.
Over in Wisconsin. But yeah, I mean, I was probably only in the top 40 or so last year.
Last year?
Yeah,
Okay.
but top 5, I would say right now.
Definitely top 5. Yeah, definitely. So being in the top 5, does that put pressure on you? Do you feel like you have to perform better? Do you feel like you have like some sort of obligation to Minnesota? Because in my personal experience, I've known of many people, and I've talked to many people within the disc golf community who are all rooting for you in basically every tournament because you're the young gun, you're coming on strong. You beat Cale Leiviska in an A-tier recently. So how does that make you feel in terms of pressure?
I don't know if I would say there's any added pressure. Obviously, I'm always putting pressure on myself to perform, but I tend to do the worst when I'm really putting pressure on myself to perform. So I would say I've adapted more of the mindset of just like take it as it comes. Like it's gonna work out at some point. I'm not gonna play my best every single time I go out. So it's just not worth expecting myself to. So I don't know. Going into the tour, obviously those guys are all really good at disc golf. So it's not like I'm not gonna beat them every time I go out. So I don't know. I wouldn't say there's too much pressure to perform right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. So the A-tier win. I was there. I played that tournament. But walk us through a little bit of that. I'd love to hear that A-tier win. For everybody watching who's not a disc golfer, disc golf is just like golf, except you play with discs, like Frisbees, but they're smaller and they're heavier, and they're much faster and go much farther. And instead of a hole like golf, it's a basket. You hit the chains and it falls in the basket. And Cal is one of our leading players here in Minnesota. So tell us about this A-tier win. Tell us about your win against Cale and what that means to you, and a little bit of the tournament itself.
So yeah, I was definitely looking forward to playing that tournament because especially the first course that we play, Superior Municipal Forest, is one of my all-time favorites. It's just a beautiful place, awesome course. And I definitely started horribly the first round. I was missing putts from inside the circle, which is 10 meters, 33 feet. And then I just kind of, I don't know, I calmed down after I was playing poorly in the beginning and ended up birdieing 9 of the last 11 holes in the first round.
Wow.
To shoot 9 down.
Wow.
Which was 1 off the hot score, I think.
Yeah.
I think I was 1 behind Cale after that. And then the second round was awful conditions. It was so bad. It was windy and rainy. So I didn't even really get to warm up too much before that round. I mean, I maybe threw 10 shots total and just tossed a couple putts before the round. So I really had no expectations going into that. And I ended up shooting the hot round by 4.
Wow.
And I gained 6 strokes on Cale, who was leading going into that round. So I had a 5-stroke lead going into the final round, and that was terrifying.
I'm sure.
A little bit, especially going for my first big win. I lost a lot of sleep that night.
I'm sure there was a lot of pressure. Like, there's a certain type of pressure that comes with being tied for the lead or something like that. But I'm sure going into the final round with a 5-stroke lead, are you thinking of things like, should I stay aggressive or should I just make sure I'm getting pars and not bogeys? Like, what are your thoughts there?
I had a pretty secure game plan going into the last course, I would say, before the tournament, and I really just wanted to follow that because I knew if I played my game, I wasn't going to lose 5 strokes in a round. So that's kind of what I was feeling like going into it. But I think I lost 3 strokes in the first 2 holes.
Yeah, at one point, yes. At one point, we were all watching as we played because we all played kind of at the same time. But we were all watching the scores and we were just, we're like, everybody's just like, oh no. Okay, so Cale, if you're watching this, obviously You're Minnesota longtime legend, of course. Everybody's always rooting for you as well. We're rooting for Cal in this one, though, because it's going to be his first big win. But anyway, yeah, you lost a few strokes, and I think it was like the final stretch, right? The final stretch that you just gained a few back.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was, I bled the lead down to 1 on the front 9. So I was just, oh my gosh, I felt so bad. I was like, what am I doing right now? But, yeah, I think I got 1 back on him on hole 10.
Okay.
And 12.
Okay.
So it was back up to 3.
Okay.
With 6 to play. So then I kind of calmed down, kind of got back in the right headspace going into the last few holes, and I think I gained 1 on him in the last 6
Okay.
holes to take down the win. So it was terrifying. It was really, really scary.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm just so happy to have actually pulled it out.
Yeah.
In the end.
Definitely. And also, once again, for those of you who aren't disc golfers, Cale has been, for a very, very long time, Minnesota's best player, and one of the top, 15 players in the world for a long, long time. And yeah, absolute local legend. He's still playing at the top of his game. It's pretty amazing. And Cal, are you 18?
Yeah.
18 years old. Not that he hasn't had years of practice, but 18-year-old beating an absolute legend in the game. That's pretty huge. I think that warrants going on tour. So we're all really excited for you about that.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.